Is it worth spending the time to do a low and slow pork butt and then stick in the oven overnight? Today, we're gonna find out. Let's get into it. What's up, barbecue fans? My name is Jake, and today is all about pork. What's up, barbecue fans? My name is Jake, and today we're talking about pork. Recently, I did a hot and fast 6-hour cook on a pork butt in the Kamado, and it turned out some decent pulled pork. Now, what you don't know is that after I turned off the cameras, my wife tried it, and she was like, it's a little bland compared to what you normally make. And then I also noticed that after 15 minutes, it really dried out quickly. Like right when I shredded it and tried it, I was like, oh, you know, it's not too bad. It's not as good as low and slow, but as it sat, the worse it got. So today what we're doing is we're going to do one low and slow, right around 225, and we're gonna do an overnight hold in our oven and just kind of talk about the difference in the product. Off the bat, I'll tell you, I have a little bit of a cold, a little bit of sinus issues, so my voice is gonna be sounding a little bit off, but we've got to push through and get this guy done. So this is a bone-in pork butt, Berkshire. I tell you guys all the time, if you're gonna do pulled pork, buy yourself some Berkshire or some Kubota, something that is just higher than what you're gonna get your local grocery store. The reason why is, like, I mean, just look at the color difference. I mean, look at that guy, right? Beautiful red, right? So got some really good color, but it's also significantly more tender and flavorful. And the one thing that I really notice, especially when I'm doing something like this, is that when you pull out the bone and you start to break it apart for your guests, if you're using an inexpensive pork, a lot of times you're just pulling out a bunch of extra, like, stringy fat stuff you don't want to eat. With this, I'm not pulling out that much at all, and sometimes I haven't even had to pull out any. It's just a better quality meat. Lots of people buy prime steaks, Wagyu steaks, but they cut corners on chicken and pork, and I think they're missing the mark a little bit. So let me get a knife here. The one thing I always like to do on something like this is we do want to crosshatch this fat cap a little bit. This just helps this render out a little bit. If you don't do this, it just doesn't render very well. And what we're gonna do here is we're going to start from the bottom. Today I'm using some Heath Rowell's competition barbecue rub. I got a little bit left in this bottle. We're gonna go through, and then a brand new bottle. I've been playing with this stuff for the last little while. I do like it for a change. It's not my normal go-to, but I have been liking it, so we're gonna use some of it today. Something like a pork butt, I mean, you can go on super, super heavy. The salt in here is going to pull out some of that moisture. It'll press in nicely because the meat's already nice and wet. But I mean, you can see it's got a beautiful color to it. And this stuff actually is a little older, so the color is not as good as this stuff, as the brand new stuff. You can see just how red that is. Just a little bit more. With the fat, you can just kind of pull it apart, try and get some in the cracks there. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna let this sit for a good 15 minutes. Now, I just went outside, fired up our Kamado 38. I had some lump left in there, so what I did is put some gloves on, kind of made a path to the bottom, and then put a couple of wood chunks in there. This is oak. I already had a little bit of one left from a previous cook, so I left that there. Then pulled it on top of each other, and then we topped it up with some Bear Mountain lump. And then I used my Grow Blazer grill gun. We got it going. And with this startup, I just got a little like baseball in the center for about 30 seconds. I'm trying to really bring it up to temperature slow, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna take advantage of some of that lower temperature smoking time so that it doesn't cook too quick. We just put a whole bunch of smoke in the beginning of it. And then what I did is I put a big old chunk right where I was lighting it, and we opened up the top vent, 1 turn, and the bottom about an eighth of the half moon. So this would be my running temperature. And actually, if I was, once I dial this in at 225, I'd probably have that closer to half a turn on the top. But what this is gonna do is this is gonna come up really, really slowly. And 5 minutes in, you can see here that we've got a whole bunch of heavy smoke, but we've already transitioned from that white billowing smoke to a heavy smoke. And I'm gonna let this sit for a few more minutes here, and then we'll put it on there and we'll just let it have that smoke bath, and we'll just take it nice and slow. I am gonna take a moment here and put my probe in here, my Typher Sync Dual, the gold version. And where's my bone here? There it is. So we're gonna come right and go here. And what we'll do is we'll get out our app, and really I'm just gonna use this to show you what's going on temperature wise as part of our long cook, because we're gonna cook this for a while. So what are we sitting here? We are at 39 degrees and dropping. We'll start a cook here. This is pork butt, and 200 is fine. The one thing that you've got to remember when you're doing something like this is that there are no hard set rules when it comes to the finished temperature, right? You got to get out your instant probe. You know, having something like this is great because you can track the cook and have an idea of roughly when it's going to be done. But the only way to tell that it's truly done is to get out your instant read and poke through it, right? It's got to be super tender all the way through. If you don't go through that step, it might be very tender around the outside, but as you get to the middle, it's not very tender, and you don't know that until you're pulling it apart. So use this as a guide, but at the end of the day, feel is what matters. I'll see you in 15. All right, so it's been 15 minutes. As you can see on our Typher here, we are 37.9 degrees. So this is really, really cold, exactly what we want. But that 15 minutes has helped the salt do its thing, pull out some moisture, and it's turned to mostly, the fat doesn't do it as much, a nice red mahogany color, which is exactly what we want. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it on the Kamado. I just went out there and I turned down the vent. We're about a quarter turn open or so, maybe a little bit more than that. We are sitting right at 225, which is gonna be our cooking temperature. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna put this guy off on the indirect side and let the smoke and the Kamado work its magic. All right, so it's been 6 hours and 54 minutes since I put the pork butt on the Kamado. We're looking fantastic. About 5 hours into it, if you look, we've got a great color here, nice and red, really dark mahogany color on it. You can see that the fat cap is rendering out nicely, which is exactly what we want. And just now, I took a look at it and we're looking phenomenal. It's 170 degrees internal temperature right now. You can see how dark it's gotten in another couple hours. At this point in time, I'm gonna let it go for a little bit longer, but look, we'll have a look at our cook here. There's no hard set rules when it comes to wrapping, okay? You can see we're 6 hours and 55 minutes here. You can see on the top chart here that we're going up and down a little bit. I've been doing a couple other things around my cook. So you'll see temporary ups and downs there. You saw I had 4 chicken breasts around there. That's for a meal I'm making for tomorrow, not for a video. But you know, we just hit 171. So generally most people say after 165 you can wrap. There is no rule though. I like to push it a little further, give it a little bit more smoke flavor, and I think the end product is a little nicer. So I'm gonna push it to like 175, 180, and then I'm gonna wrap. Now as far as the wrap, I'm not gonna film it. I'm not gonna do anything spectacular. It's getting dark outside and rain's flirting with me. So I'm gonna skip filming that part, but I'm not gonna put any moisture or anything in it at all. And what we're gonna do is I'm going to wrap it tight in foil and I'm gonna put it back on until it's probe temperature. Do I have my InstaRead? I do, it's over here. I'll just use it to check my chicken here. But look, this is the weapon of choice here, right? It's so thin that, you know, if you get any resistance going in there all the way around, I talked about this earlier, that's telling you it's not done yet. So You know, we're gonna forget about temperature. We're gonna poke around. It's probably gonna be somewhere between 203 and 206, if I had to guess. But that'll be the time when we pull it off, not until it's tender in every little spot. All right, so it's been a minute. It's been about, I don't know, 20 hours since I saw you last. Let me bring you up to speed. So our total cook time on our pork butt was 8 hours and 54 minutes. That was taking it up to, I think I pulled it at 204. I wrapped at 178, and all I did was get some heavy duty foil, put it down there, no moisture, anything like that. And we gave it a nice tight wrap. I put the Pro back in, threw it back on the Komodo. I let it rock at like 275 for the remainder of the cook. So that sped us up a little bit. If I'd stayed at 225-ish, we probably would have been closer to 10 and a half hours. So this is a low and slow for sure. Then what I did is I let it rest on my counter for about 30 minutes, just to kind of slow down some carryover cooking. Look, if you put it right in and you let it go, it's not the end of the world. What tends to happen with pork is you get that 3-2-1 effect, right? Ribs become a little bit mushy. They're super, super soft, but it gets a little mushy, where pulled pork, you want to have a little bit of texture, right? So slow down the cooking process. And then my oven, I did it inside instead of my warming oven, and it's at 160. And it's been sitting there for like 16 hours or so. I just pulled it out to let it cool down for half a second before I brought it over here. You can see it's looking pretty good. Got some liquid gold down here that we're gonna hang on to. But let me, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and open it in this so I don't lose any moisture. And then I'm gonna try and pull it out of here so that we can see it in all its glory. By the way, if you hear my dog panting, he loves to play fetch. Cookie, not so much. Ollie, 100%. And with all the rain and snow in recent months, he hasn't got a lot of that. So he will keep going and going and going until I stop him, and then he'll pant for like half hour. So I just brought him in, and I waited 15 minutes, but I wanted a cold beer, wanted some lunch. So you might have to tolerate hearing a little bit of that. Oh wow, there we go. Come here, gorgeous. Beautiful thing right there. Take that out of your camera view. Let me fix my lighting here so you can actually see what I'm looking at. It's pretty dark. That looks a little bit better. I set up my exposure using foil. Not smart when you've got a nice, beautiful dark brown pork butt you're looking at. I mean, this guy is tender without a doubt. I think I can probably just take a piece like that out. I can't even get the whole piece. Look at that. That, my friends, is ridiculously juicy. Holy smokes. I'm gonna try a little piece right there. It's a beautiful piece of meat. I'm gonna try some right here too. Look at that beautiful smoke ring. You can see right there, our fat's gone down to that nice brown color that we want. Wow, there is a ton of smoke flavor in there. That, my friends, is why they say low and slow is king. I mean, it is night and day difference between the hot and fast pulled pork that I did. You know, it's one of those things where, yes, it took only 3 hours more to cook, but we did it at such a slow temperature that it retained all the fat and it rendered with inside of it. I think when you go a little hotter, you get a little bit of leakage because it's rendering out too quick and it's got nowhere to go. When you do it nice and slow, it just sits there and spreads out through the meat. Then you add in the overnight oven rest and it's magic. I mean, it works on brisket beautifully. That's why everyone's doing it in Texas. I mean, they know their craft. And you know, when I started doing overnight brisket rests, it was a game changer. It is night and day difference. This, I don't do overnight pork butts very often, but this will convince me to do it more often. I mean, it's been sitting out here exposed and it's still completely nice and moist. You know, the low and slow by this time was already looking dried out. It's a significant difference. So if you've got the time, I highly recommend you give the overnight rest a shot and forget about hot and fast, because great barbecue takes some time. If you don't have a Kimono but pulled pork is your thing, I got you covered. Check out this video here. Thanks as always for watching. I'll see you soon.